Hello friends, welcome back to the channel, and today we are diving into a massive breaking rumor that has Cowboys Nation buzzing, because according to ESPN chatter and league insiders, there is a growing question that simply refuses to go away, and that question is whether Trey Hendrickson could be the missing piece that finally pushes the Dallas Cowboys over the top and into a legitimate Super Bowl run. This rumor did not just come out of nowhere. It has been building quietly behind the scenes, whispered among front offices, debated on ESPN panels, and dissected by analysts who know exactly what the Cowboys have been missing when January football turns into heartbreak. For years now, Dallas has had the talent, the star power, and the regular season dominance, but when the playoffs arrive, something always seems to break down, and more often than not, it happens in the trenches, especially when the pass rush fails to consistently overwhelm elite quarterbacks. When you look at Trey Hendrickson, you are not just talking about another solid defensive end. You are talking about one of the most relentless edge rushers in the NFL, a player who has built his reputation on effort, motor, and a nose for the quarterback. Hendrickson is the type of defender who changes game plans before kickoff even happens, because offensive coordinators have to account for him on every single snap. That alone is what makes this rumor so fascinating for Dallas. The Cowboys have invested heavily in their defense over the past few seasons, drafting stars, paying key players, and trying to build a unit that can dominate. And at times, they absolutely have. We have seen stretches where the Cowboys' defense looks terrifying, where quarterbacks are rushed, mistakes are forced, and games are flipped in a matter of minutes. But the problem has always been consistency against elite competition, especially in the playoffs when every weakness is exposed. That is where the Hendrickson conversation really starts to make sense. This is a player who has proven he can show up when games matter. He does not disappear against top-tier opponents. He does not need perfect conditions to be effective. He creates pressure through effort, leverage, and timing, not just raw athleticism. And in the postseason, those traits become priceless. If you look back at recent Cowboys playoff exits, one theme keeps coming up again and again. Opposing quarterbacks had too much time. Whether it was a quick release neutralizing pressure or protection holding up just long enough, Dallas simply could not close the deal consistently. Adding Trey Hendrickson to this defense would instantly change that equation. Now imagine this for a moment. Picture a Cowboys defensive front that features Micah Parsons wreaking havoc from one side, Trey Hendrickson attacking from the other, and interior linemen collapsing the pocket from the middle. That is not just a good pass rush. That is a nightmare. That is the kind of front that forces quarterbacks into mistakes, forces offensive coordinators into conservative play calling, and flips games late in the fourth quarter. This is why ESPN analysts are even entertaining this rumor in the first place. They know Dallas is close. They know the window is open. And they know that one elite defensive addition could be the difference between another divisional round exit and a legitimate Super Bowl run. Of course, nothing is ever that simple in the NFL. The financial side of this rumor is just as important as the football side. Trey Hendrickson is not a bargain player. He is a proven star, and any team acquiring him would need to make serious cap considerations. The Cowboys are already paying several top-tier players, and every move has a ripple effect throughout the roster. But this is where the Cowboys front office philosophy comes into play. Jerry Jones has never been afraid of big swings, especially when he believes a championship is within reach. And make no mistake, the Cowboys believe they are close. They are not rebuilding. They are not retooling. They are trying to finish the job. That is what makes this rumor feel different from the usual off-season noise. This is not about a depth signing or a rotational piece. This is about a player who could redefine the identity of the Cowboys defense. A player who could take pressure off the secondary, free up Micah Parsons to move around even more, and force opponents to abandon balanced game plans. One of the most underrated aspects of Hendrickson's game is how he elevates everyone around him. Offensive lines cannot double everyone. When you have two elite edge rushers, someone is going to get favorable matchups. That means more one-on-ones. That means more sacks. And that means more negative plays that completely derail opposing drives. For Dallas, this could be the key to finally solving their playoff problem. Because in the postseason, games are often decided by a handful of critical moments. A third and long sack. A forced fumble late in the game. A hurried throw that turns into an interception. Trey Hendrickson has made a career out of creating those moments. ESPN insiders have pointed out that the Cowboys have tried to address this issue before, but not quite at this level. They have relied on development, scheme, and internal growth. And while that approach has worked in the regular season, the playoffs demand something more. They demand stars who can win regardless of circumstance. There is also the psychological aspect to consider. Bringing in a player like Hendrickson sends a message, not just to the league, but to the locker room. It tells the team that management believes this is the year. It tells players that the organization is willing to do whatever it takes to win now. That kind of message can have a powerful effect on focus, urgency, and belief. Cowboys fans know this feeling all too well. Every season begins with hope. Every season brings flashes of greatness. And every season ends with disappointment. That is why this rumor has sparked such intense debate. Because for the first time in a while, it feels like the Cowboys might be considering a move that directly addresses their biggest weakness rather than just adding more star power in areas that are already strong. Critics will argue that the Cowboys already have enough talent on defense. They will say the issue is execution, coaching, or situational football. And to an extent, they are not wrong. But football is a game of margins, and the margin between winning and losing in the playoffs is razor thin. Adding Trey Hendrickson could tilt that margin just enough in Dallas's favor. There is also the question of timing. Hendrickson is not a developmental player. He is in his prime. That aligns perfectly with the Cowboys' current core. This is not about building for 5 years down the line. This is about maximizing the window that exists right now. When ESPN analysts discuss this rumor, they often come back to one simple point. Super Bowl teams almost always have dominant pass rushes. It is not optional. It is not a luxury. It is a requirement. And while the Cowboys have been good in that area, they have not been overwhelming when it matters most. Adding Hendrickson could change how opponents approach Dallas entirely. Quick passing games would still be risky. Deep drops would be dangerous. Even designed rollouts would have to be reconsidered. That kind of defensive impact ripples through an entire game plan. There is also the fan factor. Cowboys Nation has been hungry for a bold move. A move that says this team is done waiting, done hoping, and ready to attack the moment. This rumor, whether it becomes reality or not, has reignited that hunger. Of course, until anything is official, this remains just that, a rumor. But in the NFL, rumors often reveal intent before reality catches up. Teams leak interest. Analysts connect dots. And suddenly, what once seemed impossible becomes inevitable. If the Cowboys do manage to land Trey Hendrickson, the narrative around this team would shift overnight. No longer would the conversation be about whether Dallas can win a playoff game. It would be about whether anyone can stop them when January arrives. That is the power of this rumor. It is not just about one player. It is about what that player represents. A commitment to dominance. A willingness to take risks. And a belief that the Super Bowl is not a distant dream, but a realistic goal. As this story continues to develop, all eyes will be on the Cowboys front office. Will they make the call? Will they find a way to make the numbers work? Or will this rumor join the long list of what-ifs that Cowboys fans know all too well? One thing is certain. The idea of Trey Hendrickson in a Cowboys uniform has already captured the imagination of fans and analysts alike. And sometimes, in the NFL, That is how the biggest moves begin. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of the biggest Cowboys rumors making the rounds right now, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss the latest breaking news, rumors, and analysis from